Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to CM Punk Presents the Ridiculously Lame Wrestling Show. My name is Tony Squares. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Robert Lentini, and this right here is a very special show, a shorter show. It's not our regular show. We're not talking about WWE and what happened on Raw or what happened on AEW Dynamite. We are specifically talking about the CM Punk footage that was aired this evening on Dynamite, presented by the Young Bucks, about CM Punk's fight with Jungle Boy Jack Perry whilst in London backstage. The reason why we are doing this is not to pop a rating like AEW did, although this video will likely pop a rating because you guys like to yell at me about my thoughts about CM Punk, but that's okay. The reason why we are doing this is a real reason, because I have known Mr. Robert Lentini, the other man on the screen right here, for going on 20 years right now. And while we don't agree on many things, disagree on some things, we do have a general respect for each other. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that that man is a giant wrestling fan, and as am I. And I believe that this conversation we are about to have is happening between wrestling fans all over the globe, based on the footage and what has happened over CM Punk in the last 6, 7, 8 months and AEW. This podcast has come from the line of, I am very much an AEW fan. Bob is very much an all wrestling fan, but also very much the WWE side of this thing. And that's how we attack this podcast. We love wrestling and love to watch both promotions succeed. And what happened tonight sort of tied both promotions together in an ugly way. And so we are going to try and have a civil conversation about it between each other, because we believe it needs to happen. What we're going to do on this show, and Robert, I promise I'm going to let you speak in a second, but I just want to make it clear to the audience what's about to happen. What we're going to do on the show is we're going to attack this footage discussion in three ways, because we can talk about this in a million different ways and go off on a million tangents, but we're going to try to be concise and have a through line here. We're going to talk about it in three ways. The first part is going to be simple. What happened in the video? What did we see? What did we see during Dynamite when they showed the all silent footage of what happened? The second question will be, why did AEW show this footage now? Why did they show it? What does it help them? Why did AEW do it? And the final question is, and this is a personal opinion question, has your opinion or feelings changed about anyone that took place in that video or around that video? That's what the show is going to be today. Robert, before we jump in, this is late on your end. It's a little bit late on my end. We're a little bit disheveled here, but we felt like we had to get this out. Where does this rank to you amongst like all-time wrestling moments? Yes, not exactly what happened, but as in the fervor, people talking about it. Is this the height of wrestling in the zeitgeist online between what happened at WrestleMania, the final boss, Cody taking over, and then this moment right here to sort of put the pin in it, the period to this era? Is wrestling as over as it's ever been in the general zeitgeist of the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think WWE is. I'm worried about what's going on with AEW and the decisions here, but I don't want to jump ahead. We got to talk about this footage, man. Let's just get right into the footage. If I'm ready, when you are.
Okay, well, I'm going to go through it because I know you are. We're going to try and keep both of ourselves in line during this podcast.
Yeah, I am
try to go
CM
off
Punk.
on tangents. So I'm trying to simply say what I saw in this footage, and then Robert can say if I missed anything. But basically, the footage comes up, Young Bucks present it, and we can go into how the Young Bucks presented it. But the footage comes up. We see Jack Perry backstage. Hook is back there as well. Samoa Joe, Aubrey Edwards, and that other ref with the nice fade cut. They're all standing around backstage waiting for the next fight to go on. Samoa Joe's warming up in the back, and we see CM Punk approach Jack Perry. Now, the focus on this entire video is Jack Perry. He's the one facing the camera. We cannot see CM Punk or what he is saying, and most importantly, we cannot see how he is saying it. But we can see Jack Perry, in my opinion, California cool, putting his hair back, just sort of standing there. At one point, he does snap to attention and say something back to CM Punk, but at no point did it seem like he's yelling at Punk or throwing expletives at Punk or getting in anyone's face. CM Punk definitely initiated this conversation, and up until a certain point, it's just a conversation.
Right.
And then it goes physical.
Right.
CM Punk, some people are calling it a shove. Some people are calling it a jab. Either way, CM Punk hit Jack Perry first. And Jack
Right.
Perry, if you watch the footage back, it seemed for a second he did not know this had now entered into physicality.
Right.
Like he took a
Right.
step back and his face was still like, wait, what is going on? And then as soon as he snapped to, he went in for a 2-leg takedown. CM Punk defends it and tries to choke him out. And then all bodies converge on these two. Samoa Joe, thankfully, Samoa Joe's there. He's the one that sort of breaks up the fight from the beginning. Chris Hero comes around from the back. He's trying to break it up. Jack Perry goes off to the side. Hook and Samoa Joe are holding Jack Perry as he's trying to break through Samoa Joe's grasp to get back at CM Punk. Good luck breaking that grasp. Aleister Black and Cassius Ohno and another AEW backstage personnel are talking to CM Punk. And at one point, right after they break up, CM Punk goes sort of off to the side behind camera and is yelling at something in what I assume to be gorilla position, and what I assume the person to be is Tony Khan. And absolutely. I am, this is, not to toot my own horn, I am a student of body language. That's what I did for a living. I studied acting for 4 years. You can make fun of me all you want, but I do know how to read people. And that was a very, very aggressive CM Punk in that moment. His body is firmly at an angle. He's pointing his finger out. He is yelling at somebody profusely and then walks away, storms off with Aleister Black. That is everything I saw in the video. Did I miss anything?
No, you covered it. You covered it. And I guess this is what our disagreement part one. If CM Punk said was yelling, "I fucking quit" to Tony Khan, I don't understand how that equates to fearing for his life and going out onto the stage in the United Center in his hometown and making that announcement like a substitute teacher announcing a national tragedy. Like that reaction by Tony Khan, the entire reaction by Tony Khan is why I'm upset at this, because CM Punk went on a podcast Monday, the MMA Hour, and said these comments. You don't need to devote Dynamite to it. You don't need. I'm just disappointed because, first of all, coming into this, I thought I was going to be like, wow, CM Punk's a piece of shit. Now, you probably do, or you already think that, right? So you coming in with that opinion. I was ready to be like, wow, this guy's a monster. I was not like, I did not think that this was worthy of being shown on TV. CM Punk deserved to be fired. Absolutely. You don't need to keep bringing it up. You don't need to air this footage on TV because it didn't make him into the monster I think they were hoping for. I don't know what they were going for. Do you have any idea why they thought that this would be a good idea? Do you think it was a good idea?
No, let's go into the second part of the conversation. Why did AEW do it? I think it's a great point by you, and I don't disagree with really anything you said, although I will say we do not know what CM Punk said in that moment when he leaned over to Gorilla and aggressively yelled at somebody. It could have just been "I effing quit." We don't know if it was right in Tony's face. We don't know if there was any aggression, spittle coming out of. We don't know what happened in that situation. Yeah. We can only see what we saw. So I can't speak to Tony Khan fearing for his life. That's definitely the most he could possibly feel in that moment. I don't know if I agree with him, but again, we don't know what was said. Why did AEW do it? I do not know. After seeing everything and after seeing the Young Bucks present it, and I actually liked the way the Young Bucks went around and presenting it. I thought they did a really good job staying in character. That's sort of on the fringe of, tongue in cheek. We know what we're talking about and you know what we're talking about, but we can't actually say it. I liked that. But why we saw this footage, especially if Jack Perry has nothing to do with the promotion at this point, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And them trying to tie it to FTR, I think, was a really half-baked idea. And so this is why we're showing this footage, because FTR is the real masterminds. But like I get that's the wrestling angle, but it didn't make sense to me for being played. I will say, however, the FTR promo that came after this, again, we're not going to talk a lot about Dynamite. The FTR promo that came after this did make me care more about this match heading into Dynasty because of this footage and because of FTR's fire behind it. But again, that's not why we saw this footage, but I will say FTR kind of did save the segment, so to speak. Do I wish AEW didn't do this? Do I wish AEW didn't see this footage? Yes. Do I still wish that I saw this footage? Am I happier today because I saw it? Am I more firmly planted in my opinion of the situation? 100,000%. So selfishly, I'm happy I saw this footage. On AEW's side, I don't quite understand why we did.
Yeah, I mean, and also I'll give some props to the Young Bucks for that segment. They did have a good line. They referenced CM Punk. The person they were talking about was CM Punk, who said, "If you have a problem with Jack Perry, the problem is with you." That was CM Punk. That clip was floating around, but they didn't. But that's not what people are going to be talking about after this,
No.
and that's why I'm not happy about it for AEW, because people are having having a great time shitting on Tony Khan right now. They're just bashing him any chance they get, and he's not reacting the way I want him to. I want him to block it out and focus on the storylines on his own program. Leak this footage to TMZ. It would have been more impactful, I think, if this just popped up on TMZ during WrestleMania.
It felt like a TMZ footage thing. Like, you know what I mean? It felt like something we should have seen because what's that guy's name? Levin paid someone $1,000 to sneak it. Like, it felt like sneaky footage.
And I'll also say that FTR's promo was decent, but the crowd was dead after that footage aired because I think they were expecting something more. They were dead. The crowd was not into that promo. That you might have been into it a little more. I'm always going to be into FTR versus Young Bucks. No matter what I think about the Young Bucks personally, they're great professional wrestlers, and I have no problem saying that. I just don't like some of the goofy shit they do. But I told you last podcast, the Young Bucks didn't want to do this. Nobody backstage wanted to do this. This was Tony Khan's call. And maybe he thought that the Punk aggressively coming at him would get people to say, oh, that makes sense why he feared for his life. You don't need to explain to me why CM Punk got fired. I thought he should have been fired after All Out 2022. So this is like, I'm a huge CM Punk fan, but also a realist. You can't just trash your boss next to him in a press conference, beat the shit out of the biggest stars, and attack people backstage. He had to go. It was untenable. But you don't need to keep rehashing it now. I'm trying to move on while watching AEW, and I feel like there's a ghost of CM Punk hanging over it, and they just brought it back even more. They're going to be getting CM Punk chants in AEW whenever a segment is boring now. Is that what they wanted? Because that's what's happening if they keep bringing it up. They get WWE when CM Punk was gone for 7 years. Every time something was boring, CM Punk, CM Punk. They're bringing that onto themselves. And he's never coming back there. So I don't understand what they accomplished tonight.
I don't understand what they accomplished either. I will refute the FTR crowd being dead thing. I agree
Towards
with you.
Towards the end, it picked up, but right after when they cut to him, there was like they ran down to the ring. It was like they were in a library, but it picked up at the end. They got him
exactly. Yeah, that's why I said I think FTR saved the segment. I think they brought it back, and they also said, like as you said, let's focus on the present and not keep on going into the past. So I agree with you there. I think we're both on the same page with FTR. As for why they did it, it still befuddles me. And to join in on what you said, even cutting to the Young Bucks, if you watch it again, the camera stays on the announcers a little bit too long, and you can see Excalibur kind of shakes his head. Like as if I can't believe we're doing this again. Who knows what he's thinking in that moment? Maybe it's a nervous tick, but it looks like he's saying, I can't believe we're doing this. And Tony Schiavone cannot hide his emotion at all. He looks disgusted. He looks like he has to hand over his daughter to somebody he knows is going to cheat on her. Like it looks disgusting. He has a disgusted look on his face cutting to him.
WCW 2000 flashbacks for Schiavone right there. He lived through it. I don't think AEW's in trouble and going out of business like people are saying.
No.
Tony Khan is infinite money, but they have a long way to go to get their reputation back. And whether you want to blame that all on CM Punk, I'm not. I don't blame
the current state of AEW on CM Punk.
Distinct lack of leadership that is still a problem, and it needs to be resolved. And I thought tonight was a glaring example.
Let's move on to the final stage of this conversation. After seeing this footage, and we can go through a couple of the names in this footage, let's start with an easy one. Well, not an easy one, but at least a name that's not going to be as lightning rodish. Do you feel any differently about Jack Perry?
No, he didn't do anything wrong. I don't even think he deserved to get suspended or for like a couple weeks or something. Here's my problem with Jack Perry. He's not a draw for money, business-wise. I'm a grown man. I understand he's not a draw. He's just not. Maybe he will be after this, but at the time he dissed CM Punk on the kickoff show, he was not a draw. And you could say that's getting heat. Only like a handful of people knew about only dirt sheet readers knew what Jack Perry was talking about. So it wasn't an angle on television. It was just a selfish going into business for himself because he doesn't like CM Punk, and most of the people backstage didn't. So but then again, he was their biggest draw. So I just thought it was a stupid, selfish move. And I thought Tony Khan protecting your biggest star should have pulled Jack aside and said, enough of that bullshit. But that never happened, I guess. I don't know why, but that never happened. So, but Jack Perry is a good man. I want him back on AEW television. I think he made a mistake. He's young. You can say he was right for doing that, but I think he regrets it deep down. So what's your thoughts on Jack Perry? Your opinion changing him at all?
We clearly differ on the inciting incident, so to speak. But I think Jack Perry deserves to be on AEW television tomorrow. I would have brought him back tonight, pay him whatever he wants. That footage showed that Jack Perry was an innocent bystander in this whole thing. Yeah, he incited the bully, and the bully came up to push him along. But the whole time, Jack Perry's literally playing with his hair like, I'm over this dude. I don't want to have another piece of conversation with this dude, and then got attacked. And the fact that Jack Perry, I know he's probably getting paid and his contract is okay, but the fact that Jack Perry has not wrestled for 6-ish months other than some New Japan stuff is an affront to Jack Perry because of this incident. In my opinion, that man did nothing wrong other than the inciting incident that we differ opinion on. But afterwards, from this footage, why the hell is Jack Perry out of AEW? I'm fully fledged now in that opinion of Jack Perry has done nothing wrong.
He'll be back soon. He'll be back soon.
Does your opinion change on Samoa Joe at all? Because mine did a little bit.
Oh, really? I love Samoa Joe. Let me hear your opinion.
I've always loved Samoa Joe, but seeing him in this footage, and we kind of known even from CM Punk that Joe was the one that went to CM Punk afterwards. Let's go out and do the match. And if you remember, it was a really good match. And Samoa Joe put CM Punk over, even though he likely knew that was the last CM Punk was ever going to be in the building. Samoa Joe could have done whatever he wanted to Phil. He's a much physically superior man. Could have Sting and Jeff Hardy'd him if you remember that situation. Yeah. But Samoa Joe, to me, kind of felt like the father taking care of the toddlers getting angry with each other. How he just bear hugs Jack Perry and immediately diffuses the situation. So to me, the lore of Samoa Joe grew even more. He's a
leader.
Opinion.
He's a leader.
Yes.
He's a leader. He's the leader that they need. They need to keep him around. They need more guys like him. And if we're going to get to CM Punk in this segment, right? Like an opinion change.
Yes, we're going to end with that. Come on, this is a show. I'm trying to. I
was going to say something.
Come on, Bob. Let's stay with me here.
It's 1:30 in the morning. God damn it!
Did your opinion change at all on the Young Bucks?
Well, I need to know if they wanted to air the footage or not. If they didn't want to air the footage, then no. I don't hate the Young Bucks. I feel like they got in a good line. They're the petty kings. That's their character. They're playing a role. And I don't know the full story about what happened at Brawl Out. Nobody does because there's an NDA. So maybe we'll never know. But so my opinion of the Young Bucks is the same. I don't love their characters, but I respect them as wrestlers, and I respect that they've helped create this company. So I'm not just going to bash the Young Bucks forever. I'm ready to let that go. But so my opinion of the Young Bucks is the same. They're okay.
My opinion for the Young Bucks has faltered over the past few months of my faith in them, and I do believe they are definitely a little bit of a part of the problem in AEW and has their building. But I will save my opinion and how it changed for the Young Bucks due to this footage when we talk about CM Punk. But before we get there, has your opinion changed at all on Tony Khan?
Yes. My opinion on Tony Khan has my opinion on Tony Khan, I love Tony Khan for what he's done. Like I said, for the Young Bucks, for helping create this. It's not possible without Tony Khan. He has infinite money. And he's he signs all the talent. His heart's in the right place, I think. But man, he makes some dumbass decisions. And he does not have control of his locker room. And the stuff with just the William Regal coming in and leaving. Like there's all this weird bullshit. Like when you look back at the history of AEW, when this book is written, and you go to why it fell apart or if they can rebound. But I think when we check out the death of AEW book at the libraries in 10 years, I think we're going to be looking at some of these decisions by Tony Khan and paying $40 million to Okada and Mercedes Moné. And they're not having a concrete plan and not focus. If you have a plan, stick to it. Don't sway away from it because CM Punk went on a podcast. We all knew CM Punk was going on a podcast. He did it 10 years ago with Colt Cabana before they became mortal enemies. That we all knew this was happening. I don't understand. I feel like Tony Khan wants everybody to be his friend. And when someone says something bad about him, he can't stand it. And that's not, you can't be like that while running a massive company with all these egos. You need to be a bit of a hard ass. You can't be buddies with everybody because shit like this is going to be happening. Because you don't want to say something to Jungle Boy because he's your buddy. You don't want to say something to the Young Bucks because he's your buddy. You don't want to say something to CM Punk because he's your draw. Like, it's a problem. Nobody took control of the situation, and that falls squarely on one man, Tony Khan. I appreciate what he's done for the business, but I'm wildly disappointed with how. If you told me in 2019 this is what this company would be in 2024, I wouldn't have believed you, because I thought they were going to be so much better. And I think a lot of it, why they are not, is because of Tony Khan.
As from mine own opinion, and this has been going on for a while, but this kind of cemented it. And again, I do want to say I am the AEW fan in this. I love that company and everything it stands for, and I want it to succeed from the bottom of my heart. And I know you do too, Bob. But like that,
I'll be buying Dynasty.
This cemented my opinion in that I have zero faith in Tony Khan, and that is hard for me to watch this product every week, knowing that the man pulling the strings is not going to lead him in a direction of success. They might have little wins here and there, like that Wembley show, other than the whole CM Punk thing, was a huge win for a burgeoning company. But at the same time, I am not certain that the man driving the car knows how to drive, and I am a little bit worried about that. And this decision to air this footage in this way kind of cemented that fact. And sorry for laughing when you were talking about it, but just you saying writing the book of the AEW experience 10 years from now, I was going through my head of all the people who could write that book, like the Excalibur version and all. Sorry, that's what I was laughing at. Last question, Bob, because I know it's late for you and we want to move on. Did this footage change your opinion in any way on the man they call CM Punk?
Well, here I've said several times, CM Punk is my favorite wrestler. He always will be. That's a thing, that a connection when you're a kid. Like, it would have had taken a lot on this tape for me to be like, I don't like this man anymore. Now, there's a lot of stuff on CM Punk does that I don't agree with. I don't agree with the way he handled the press conference and All Out. I don't agree with whatever the brawl was. I don't agree with putting your hands on people. So, yes, I did lose a little bit of respect. I have lost some respect for CM Punk in this process. But overall, I knew he wasn't a leader before he signed with AEW. You know anything about CM Punk, you know he's not a leader. He's an incredible talent. He's incredible with the microphone. He's an incredible storyteller. In his personal life, he's not a leader. I don't know why Tony Khan didn't know that. I don't know why they put him in a position to be the locker room leader. They needed to have someone. He needed to be third on the food chain. You know what I mean? He needed to be below someone, Samoa Joe, anybody. Someone should have taken over and said, dude, because I think that would have worked much better. But he was in a position where he was running Collision, booking shows, and with his pettiness and with his grudge holding shit, that would have never worked. He's a talent. He's strictly just a talent, and they put him in a position that it was destined to fail. So yes, I've lost a little respect for him, but he's still my favorite wrestler of all time, and that just is what it is.
As for myself, and this has to do with the Young Bucks as well, this proved to me that honestly, and again, I don't care if people get mad at me for saying this, CM Punk is a pussy. And this footage proved that to me. To go up to Jack Perry because you're angry at something he said, we all have disputes in life. That's going to happen all the time. But where I come from and where Bob comes from, if someone initiates the physical attack like that, they're the pussy. And the fact that he sucker punched or sucker shoved Jack Perry after the man just had he's coming down after having a big match out there, and he's not paying attention at all, and they're having a conversation. And now is the time where CM Punk wants to have that conversation and get physical and then blow up at the boss. I F and quit because he didn't get his way. He acts like an absolute child, and he has continued to act like a child for the entirety of his wrestling career. And the Young Bucks part of this, to me, seeing the way they reacted to this and then the way they played off this footage and entering the footage in character the way they did, it also proved to me that this is likely how the interaction happened when they had the brawl out with Kenny Omega and the Dog and Ace Steel and the Young Bucks. And yes, the Young Bucks were the ones that initiated the conversation here, but I can guarantee you, after seeing this Jack Perry footage, I would put $1 million on who started the physical interaction of that rather than talking it out and being a man
Sure.
and having a conversation and attacking your problem as a man does, not fighting, not lifting your fits. And I know you want to say something here, but this is the important point here. A man attacks his problems by figuring out ways to resolve it. That's not the way CM Punk does it. CM Punk is a fucking pussy. And I don't care if he's Robert, your favorite wrestler, or anyone watching this favorite wrestler. You guys can comment below and give us the dislikes all you want. I do not care. This footage cemented that opinion of me for him. And honestly, the power in that shove and in that fight, this Phil wouldn't win a fight against Phil Dunphy. That's all I got to say about CM Punk. Bob?
Well, the young Bucks are also fucking pussies because they, like you said, they failed to resolve it and didn't want to speak to the man for 6 months, and they lost the biggest star, and now they look like fucking idiots because they got CM Punk chance when they showed up later on Dynamite just after showing the footage. So it took 12 minutes for people to say, "Wow, okay, let's chant CM Punk." So massive backfire. Dumbass decisions all around, bad characters, bad people all around, whoever you think it is. It was a terrible mix, destined to fail, and they can't fucking get over it. And it's sad because CM Punk is
I think there's one person
he's
that
in
can't get over it, and
WWE.
sadly, that one person runs the show.
Yeah, it's well said. Well said. Let's just end it with that. The person that runs the show can't get over the girl he let get away, and it just... whatever, man. The girl he let get away is an asshole, right? Get over it.
Get over it. That should be the title of this show. The Ridiculously Lame Wrestling Show, episode 17. Get over
10.
it. We'll be back
lucky
next
number
week with a normal show previewing. There's an AEW pay-per-view, and we will be previewing AEW Dignity, whatever it's called. That's Dynasty. All, folks, and we will talk to you later. And by the way, Bob, I didn't get to check in. What did Ryback have to say about this?